My mom, and I think my dad as well, but I do remember my mom saying like, oh, like for your first job, like it's gonna be hard for you to find a job making more than 725 for your first job. She was just basically telling me like, just to, if you can get a job, if somebody wants to hire you and they make 725, just go for it. Like, you don't have experience anyway, you know. And with me, I was just set on no. God answers prayers, and I believe and have faith that He's gonna answer my prayer on me wanting to work a job, making at least $9 an hour for my very first job. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while, and today I'm going to do a story time. I was inspired to share my story of something that happened years ago, and it plays a part into who I am today and like how I navigate my life. So I'm gonna get right into it. All right, so I'm gonna tell a story about how I basically had faith and prayed for a job, like making a certain amount of money, and I basically got that prayer answered. So anyway, this was a few years ago. I was wanting to work my first job. I had not worked, oh my God. I had not ever had a job before, and I wanted to make a certain amount of money. I wanted to make at least $9 an hour for my first job. And I was telling my mom about it. I think I even told my dad about it too. And I was applying for jobs. And a few jobs. There was this one job, Zaxby's. They were paying minimum wage $7.25, and Zaxby's, they were old school. Like, you had to go in person into the restaurant, and they had paper applications. There was no like applying online. And I had Googled, and I didn't see any online application. And I think I called up there and asked, and they had paper applications. Like, they was old school. And I went up there, got one, and I think, I had to fill it out and like bring it back, but I never brought the paper back. I think I filled it out, but as I was filling it out at home, I was just like, I just didn't want to do it. I was just like, no, like, because I think at the time, I didn't know how much they were paying. And so I had asked them, how much do y'all pay per hour? And I think they said $7.25. And I was turned off, but I still took the application. But if I remember correctly, I Googled how much Zaxby's paid, I believe. And there was a range of pay. But the lowest pay, I think, was $7.25 and up. So I guess it depended on what state you were in. The location I wanted to work at, they paid $7.25. And yeah, I didn't apply to them. And I was turned off because like, no, I want to make more. And I had even applied to this restaurant called Panera Bread. I think they started out at $9 an hour. I did the interview and everything. The interview went good. I think the person that interviewed me liked me. But anyway, I kept following up a few times on that application. And basically, I think they came up with some lie because they said, oh, like, this restaurant is in the process of being sold, like, I guess the building or something. I don't know. Anyways, basically, I couldn't, like, work there because they was in the middle of some management changes or something. I don't know. But anyway, the Panera Bread is still there. So, I don't know. Maybe they changed owners or whatever. I don't know. But I was just annoyed because it's like, if that's the case, why did y'all have applications, like, available? And why did y'all interview me if y'all weren't really hiring? So it was a waste of time. I even applied to Domino's, and I sent my application. I followed up with them. Basically, they weren't hiring at the time. I also applied to Krispy Kreme. If you know me for real, if you're a family or friend, like, you'll know that, like, I like Krispy Kreme. My family likes Krispy Kreme. I did, like, 3 interviews with Krispy Kreme, y'all. Like, it was insane. And and the interviews went good, but it's like, and every single time a person interviewed me, it was a different person. So I don't know if they was changing out management quickly. I don't know, but and I had followed up, of course, and they finally had interviewed me all those times. But basically, after I had that third interview, and basically I think I had to follow with them again, or like basically I had to wait to hear back. And you know, whenever they say wait to hear back, most times it's just best to follow up. People are gonna forget. And so I was following up on a lot of my applications. Anyway, after that third interview with Krispy Kreme, I was just like, yeah, I'm not finna work here anymore. I'm not even finna like just follow up with them, because why do I have to do 3 interviews for Krispy Kreme? It's Krispy Kreme. It's not a corporate job. It's not like a manager job. It's just Krispy Kreme. It's not that deep. So, yeah, I didn't follow with them after the third interview I did with them. And that's the most interviews I've done for a job. But anyway, and I feel like maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I did not work at Krispy Kreme, because my family loves Krispy Kreme. Like, my dad, he loves Krispy Kreme. You know, I like Krispy Kreme. My mom, my little brother, like, growing up, every now and then, me and my family, we would get Krispy Kreme when the hot light was on. So, if I probably worked at Krispy Kreme, like, I would probably would have gained so much more weight. Like, it wouldn't have been a good idea for me to work there, for me or my family. Like, we would have gained a lot of weight. Like, but anyways, I even applied to Target. Target did not hire me. And I would also like to add, which I didn't think to add until now, again, this was me trying to apply for my very first job. So I didn't have experience. So I feel like that played a part in why I wasn't getting hired. I didn't have experience. And I remember getting annoyed because it's like, I don't have experience, right? But to even work somewhere, I have to gain experience. So I was just getting annoyed because it's like, okay, I don't have experience and I'm applying to Panera Bread or whatever. Y'all could give me the experience that I need right now if y'all hire me. But no. So anyway, I applied to Target. I got denied. And if y'all know, like, Target, it's not easy to get into Target. Like, a lot of people apply, but a lot of people don't get in. I kind of call it like the Ivy League in a way. Like, once you get into Target, you're good. But for some reason, Target don't just hire everybody. So I wasn't too, like, I was hoping that I was going to get into Target. But, like, when I got the denied application or whatever, I was like, they're strict anyway. And it's probably because I don't have experience, so whatever. And then, after all those jobs I applied to Papa John's. And I applied there, and basically I got the job. And the interview went good. And basically I didn't know how much I was making until like the interview was over. And I think I asked the lady, how much do y'all pay per hour? And she said, oh yes, this store they pay $9 per hour, because that store, if I remember correctly, it's a franchise. So they pay a bit more than like a regular store that isn't franchised owned. So, and literally I wanted to get paid $9 an hour or more. And honestly, I wanted to get paid $9 or more, but I really had $9 in mind. Like, I feel like realistically for a very first job, I feel like $9 was doable. Like, and I believed, like, I had faith, and like I prayed, like, literally. And you know, my mom, and I think my dad as well, but I do remember my mom saying, like, oh, like, for your first job, like, it's gonna be hard for you to find a job making more than $7.25 for your first job. She was just basically telling me, like, if you can get a job, if somebody wants to hire you and they make $7.25, just go for it. Like, you don't have experience anyway, you know. But me, I was just set on no. God answers prayers, And I believe and have faith that he's finna answer my prayer on me wanting to work a job, making at least $9 an hour for my very first job. Like, I believe he will. Like, come on, this is God we're talking about. So even though my mom was saying, you know, for my first job, I should basically just settle, I didn't want to. Like, I just really, really believed and really had faith that, like, God was going to answer my prayer. I really did believe. I strongly believe. And I was persistent. And, yeah. So, anyway, yeah, that's basically the gist of the story time. You know, I didn't, like, lack faith. Like, I still believed. And, of course, that is not the only time where I have believed something. I pray to have faith, and literally God has answered my prayer. There's other stories that I could tell. Maybe I'll save that for another story time, but I wanted to start out with my first job, because there's a first for everybody. There's a new generation that's coming in right now that's working their first job or finna apply or whatever. So if you're seeing this video and you want to work a job, you have a certain standard for your first job, and you believe you can do it, and you may have naysayers or whatever, people who just trying to tell you to just not reach your height on your stand or whatever, just go for what you want. Just go for what you want. People call it manifestation, but I call it faith. I am a Christian. I'm a believer in Jesus. Like, manifestation is different. Like, manifestation, those people, they basically put faith in themselves that they can get what they want. Me, I put my faith in God. I put my faith in Jesus, because the things that I have, I didn't get it without God. It wasn't my effort. I couldn't even take the credit if I wanted to. It was all God. Like, all the things that I have right now in my life, it's because of God. Like, let's keep it a buck. It's because of God. Let's keep it real. It's because of God. But literally, if you want something, if you desire having a certain job or just whatever, just pray and believe God. Like, I promise you, he will come through. Like, because he came through for me for my first job. And again, that's not the only time where God has, like, answered my prayer, or I've believed, had faith and something, and people have doubted me. Like, I have another story that I can tell, and I will tell, but I don't want this video to be too long. And I would like to add one more piece of information in the story. So, a year prior, because my first job, I was a senior in high school. Around my junior year of high school, I wrote a paper in English class, and my topic was minimum wage. There was different topics, but I believe I chose minimum wage. And basically, I wrote a paper on that and all of that. And I learned that, like, the minimum wage for a lot of states is $7.25. Like, Georgia, $7.25 if you're covered by, I think it's the Minimum Wage Act or something like that. But a lot of, like, there's some states or some people or whatever that aren't covered, that don't have the Minimum Wage Act or whatever it's called. So you can make as low as $5.15. So you can make less than $7.25. But anyway, I wrote the paper on that, and I had to create a video, and it had to be shared to my class. And I feel like part of that has also shaped my mindset on why I was adamant on not making $7.25 as my first job. Because writing that paper, like, I learned that, like, $7.25 is not enough at all. There's other states, like, I think California, I think where the minimum wage is $15, it's not $7.25. Now, California does cost more money to live there, but literally, I feel like all states should have a minimum wage of $7.25. Like, back then, I felt like that. And I feel like if I look up right now, the minimum wage act has still not been increased. I think it's probably still 725 in a lot of states right now. I don't think they've really adjusted it that much. Now, I know California, they made some changes, but I think other states, it's still 725. And look, we're in 2026, so like that's 725 is not enough. You can't even live on your own with that amount of money. Nobody can. It's really ridiculous with me thinking about it now, thinking about the idea of like people out here still making $7.25 an hour. Like, it's sad. So anyway, with me writing that paper, I realized, yeah, like I would not want to make that. I would want to make more. And so when my first job came and I was looking, I was like, yeah, I want to make more than $7.25, like at least $9. And I was really stuck on the $9 because I felt like it was doable. Like, I just felt like, you know, that was more realistic. So that was years ago, right? And like fast forward years later, like basically as the years progressed after that, like every now and then my parents, they would basically bring up that story on basically how I got a job and I made the amount of money I wanted to make for my first job. They would bring that up. And a few times they said that like it has inspired them. Like my mom, she told me like, you know, with you having your faith in what you wanted and everything, and God answered your prayers and everything, like she said it inspired her. And when she started applying for different jobs and applying for what she wanted, like she said, like my story, my faith, and she would like think about that as she would be applying for jobs and everything. And even with my dad, like my dad told me, I think it was a few months ago, he was saying like still to this day, he'll like tell some people about how like, how I had faith and was adamant, was like, no, like I want to make at least $9 an hour for my first job. And I basically got that. So it's like, you know, it's crazy how like, you know, and I'm not dissing them or nothing. Like, I don't hold no grudge on like, oh, they didn't believe me, like forget them. No, but it's crazy because it's like, I was really just, I got what I wanted. And my parents, they were just being parents. Like, they were like, you know, just try and get a job, at least get something, like, you know, because it's just your first job. They weren't trying to like be super haters or nothing like that. But like, you know, they was just basically just saying just get what you can, basically. And I didn't just get what I can. I got what I wanted. And so for them to like be like, for me to inspire them and everything, like my faith inspiring them, it's like a full circle moment. It's like, wow, like, and that was years ago. And my parents, they still are inspired by it and still think about it from time to time. So it's a really cool thing because, you know, me, like, I just thought, oh, yes, another prayer, God's answering, like, thank you, God, thank you, God. And, like, of course, I was super grateful that God answered that prayer and I got a job. But, like, I didn't, like, think, like, I didn't dwell on it too much. Like, again, I was very grateful, but I didn't dwell on it too much. And I didn't realize how inspiring that story was to my parents. I did not realize that until, like, later. So it's just a crazy thing. Like, what? Like, me, their child, like, inspired them. Like, I inspired my parents? Like, what? And also, like, my parents, they were like, they've been in the faith longer than me. Like, and I was still able to inspire them. Like, you would think that, oh, if someone's in the faith, if someone's a follower of Jesus for a while, their faith will be built up. But not saying their faith is not, but like, I don't know. It's just crazy to think about. But anyway, that's all I wanted to add. That was a very important piece. But I wanted to mention that because it's like, you may want something in life and you may have faith, you may pray about it or whatever. And you may have people that may have concerns or doubts on what you want to do. But just pray on it and keep believing And you never know, those same people who may have had concerns or doubts about you being able to accomplish what you want, those same people could be inspired by you when you accomplish and do what you said you were going to do and do what you wanted to do. So anyway, I'll see you on the next video. Kingston, you want to say bye? Say bye to them. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye. But anyway, that's the end of this story. If you're new here, subscribe. And if you got into this far of the video, thanks for watching. I will be doing more story times. But anyway, I'll see you on the next video. And thanks for watching and subscribe.